Hello guys, I'm Eduard Trymbovetskiy and this is Negotiation in a Minute. Today I will talk about one amazing and interesting person. I will talk about negotiation style of Vladimir Putin, the president of the Russian Federation, national and no doubt world leader who proved his wisdom and excellence in conducting international and domestic negotiations. My conversation will be divided in two parts. Part number one: Putin's negotiation style, views and judgments. So who is Mr. Putin? Before analyzing Putin's negotiation style, I would say that he has created a tough guy image, demonstrating his physical abilities and participating in different sports and activities. That's why it is extremely fascinating to dig into negotiation style of Putin and to learn from this negotiation style. Many outstanding people, by the way, consider him one of the most experienced and talented negotiators on the world stage. On the one hand, he is a calculating, well-prepared and tough negotiator. He sees negotiations as a competition, prepares for them, demonstrating well-calibrated and proved negotiating tactics. On the other hand, he can be ingratiating or infuriating, depending on the situation. Some officials and world leaders say that Putin is not afraid to speak passionately on issues to signal that they are important to him. When he talks, he does not actively gesticulate, he does not yell, but there is a passion in his speech. He grasps quickly who he is dealing with and what should be done to get what he wants to get. Putin is highly results-driven, focused and assertive. And this is an expected style from someone who represents Russia and defends national interest. When Putin wants to make a deal, he prefers to combine both competitive and collaborating styles in negotiating situations. The origins of Putin's style come from his early career. Before becoming national political leader, he was not just a spy, a recruiter. And it was his task as an officer of the security agency to establish trusting relationships with potential agents. Of course, at times, he has applied well this skill in political life. And just recall how easily he recruited one by one many politicians during his early years in power. With his keen ability to understand other people, Putin usually analyzes partners' habits and psychological portrait before negotiating. Another important element of negotiating with Putin is related to understanding room for interpretation. You know, his worldview is firmly set, and he understands the meaning of what other people say and do within that framework. The same words may carry different meanings for him and for the person with whom he communicates. So if agreements are not recorded in writing, it leaves a wide space for their interpretation and misunderstanding. Moreover, Putin's long experience as a head of state plays a role in how he negotiates. After 20 years in power, he has spent hundreds of hours in negotiations with many politicians. He has an excellent memory and accumulates a huge amount of information about what he has discussed, with whom, and what the starting points were. Here I would add one more thing. Putin's favorite sport is judo, and it is well reflected in his temper and behavior. He knows how to be patient, waiting out and withstanding his opponent's pressure to respond at the right moment. Summarizing my first part of the topic, I would say that it is not easy to negotiate with Putin. But in general, it is hard to negotiate with all successful negotiators, and Vladimir Putin is not an exception. He has a vision and a goal to bring prosperity and stability for his own country he leads. So, part number 2. Portrait of Putin's negotiation style, my personal perceptions. Now I would like to categorize some basic traits of Putin's style in accordance with my personal perceptions. Putin is a good listener, and I will explain why. He does not interrupt the other side. He summarizes the statements to the satisfaction of the opponent. He treats the statements of the other side with respect. He avoids reacting emotionally to views he finds completely different. He demonstrates concern and paraphrases to show understanding. Being a good listener, he uses nonverbal cues to show understanding, such as nodding, eye contact, and leaning forward. He also pronounces brief verbal affirmations like I see, I understand, I know, and thank you. And finally, he asks open-ended questions to seek clarification. The way he communicates in a conversation and in negotiation is impressive. Putin avoids using some types of phrases and words that can destroy an atmosphere of trust and likability. He often starts his speech with the following words: I would like to stress, I hope that our partners will understand, I feel that the other side can demonstrate, or I wish to improve our relationships. Putin never negotiates with the other party using such words. For example, I need to fix or to set up, I require from you, or I insist on something. As many observers stress, Putin has a high emotional intelligence. I completely agree with such a statement. In all the cases except for national security issues, he is guided by principles of empathy. He believes that negotiation process without empathy is doomed to fail. It can be easy to come to an impasse. In his opinion, when empathy is applied, the other party feels understood and their feelings are heard. Empathy makes Putin a remarkable negotiator. The concept of principled negotiation is an integral part of Putin's style. Looking back on his actions on the world stage, I think that Mr. Putin always separates the people from the problem. He always focuses on interests, not positions. He invents options for mutual gain, and finally, he insists that the negotiation outcome should be based on objective criteria. For example, in negotiation, Putin can rely on standards such as international law, market value, or local traditions. I do believe that the successful story of Putin as a negotiator lies in his ability to control emotions. He is strong mentally and emotionally. It is his well-known characteristic. Self-control is his great advantage and strength. Being involved in international negotiations with different types of negotiators, he always refrains from emotional attacks, from challenging their weaknesses and failures. Putin is trying to appreciate other people by understanding their point of view and interests, finding merit in what they think, feel, or do. In conclusion, I would like to stress, all these above-mentioned characteristics turned Vladimir Putin into one of the most experienced and remarkable negotiators on the world stage. I do believe that it will help you develop your own negotiation style and become a first-class negotiator for a long lifetime. I'm Eduard Trymbovetskiy. This is Negotiation in a Minute. See you!